Is 300 Win Mag still relevant in the world of long range and extreme long range target shooting? Now, if you're curious of how 300 Win Mag stacks up in a modern extreme long range match, then stick around because that's exactly the question we're going to answer here in this video. Now, I'm guessing we all know and probably love 300 Win Mag. It's been around a long time. 300 Win Mag allows you to put those heavy 30 caliber bullets downrange with a ton of accuracy. It's well known. We've seen it in the combat theaters here throughout the GWAT era. And some really iconic rifles such as the Mark 13. I think many of us would probably agree 300 Win Mag is solid to 1500-ish yards on maybe a man-sized target. But in the match that I'm shooting here, there's going to be a wide array of targets. Things in the 1 MOA range all the way up maybe to the 3 MOA range. The closest shot we made here in the match was about 750 yards, with the furthest shot being 2310. Now, I was squatted up, and there's many other shooters here in the match running those maybe more favorable, newer magnum calibers, 300 PRC, 300 Norma, some of the 338s. So what you're going to see in this video will be a run through of day one. We shot 10 stages on day one, again, out to 2,300 yards. You're going to see my performance with the rifle that's here beside me. Now, in each of those shooting stage portions of the video, I'll talk through what's happening to kind of give you an idea of when I miss, when I hit, and what kind of distances I'm shooting. So you're going to see the performance. I'm going to be using my new Scopemate S28 camera to give you a look through the optic. You're going to see exactly what's happening downrange. This was a 2-day match. I really didn't film on the second day because I actually found out after the first night I was shooting well and I was actually kind of in the running. So I decided on the second day to focus on my shooting. But then at the end of the video, we're going to wrap up with a summary of my experience running 300 Win Mag in this match, and I'll tell you what I think about it as a long-range target caliber. So let me know what you think. I gotta hear it in the comments right now before you watch this video. What's your opinion of 300 Win Mag in the modern long-range target shooting world? Is it a caliber that you would go to? Are you running it? Or do you think it's far surpassed by the PRCs, the Normas, all those other calibers that many of us are probably familiar with and running? I gotta hear it before you watch, and at the end of the video, let me know what you think. Now, really quick, I'm trying to grow this channel, and it's your help that's going to allow me to do that. Watching this video, liking, commenting, those are all great, but I want to ask for your help by subscribing. If you're watching this video, you like this video, you enjoy this kind of content, do me a solid and hit that subscribe button to signal to me you want to see more content just like that. So with that, let's move into a quick gear review of what I shot here in the match. Then we'll move into the shooting portion, and we'll wrap up at the end with my summary. Before we dive into the gear, I have got to give a shout out to the Day Mountain Ranch where we're shooting this weekend. This is an unbelievable facility for those of us that love precision shooting and long range shooting. So when you think about the shooting experience here, as you can see behind me, it is just gorgeous. So we're able to shoot here from a mountaintop, 270 degrees. So you think about challenging winds. When you're shooting 270 degrees in a match, your wind is going to be changing. We're shooting across super deep canyons. So basically we're shooting from ridge to ridge. Canyons are hundreds of feet deep. We're able to do high angle shots. We're able to see challenging winds. We're able to get extreme distances. So actually yesterday they shot an ELR heavy match with shots out to 2 miles. In today's match in the ELR Open, we're able to go out to 2310. Again, just unbelievable. If you love long range shooting and the precision shooting sport, you've got to make the effort to come out here to the Day Mountain Ranch in Preston, Idaho. Now maybe you want to travel out, make a destination out of it. Well, that's what you can do here at Day Mountain Ranch. The facility is unbelievable. So down in the valley, they actually have a handful of new cabins that are built up, maybe to bring your family out. So the cabin I stayed in, it's actually set up with some bunk beds. It's got air hockey table, foosball table. So maybe you bring the wife and kids out, you shoot the match here. They're going to be able to stay entertained down there in the cabins, the horse stalls, etc. Truly is a destination type location. So world-class shooting, beautiful amenities. I thank Day Mountain Ranch for the opportunity to come out here and shoot at their facility. They truly have a love for the long range sport. So if you're into really, really cool long range shooting, go ahead, find the next Day Mountain Ranch match, put it on your calendar, and make the effort to come out. Now with that, let's talk about the gear we're gonna run here in the match. So the setup I'm running is gonna look familiar to you with one important change. So the heart of the rifle is gonna be the Pristine long action. This was provided to me by Pristine. This action is pretty slick. It's very smooth, but the really cool thing about it is the Savage pre-fit configuration, which allows me to swap barrels out at home. This rifle previously on the channel was set up in 7 PRC. But for this match, obviously I want to shoot 300 Win Mag, so I reached out to my buddies over at Outlier, and no joke, they spun me up this brand new 300 Win Mag barrel in like 2 days. I came up with this idea while I was driving down the road. I knew this match was coming up. I came up with this video concept based on some of the messages, asking for a barrel, and it showed up just in time. So what I'm going to be running right here in the match is a brand new 26-inch 300 Win Mag barrel from Outlier. So I appreciate the support from Outlier. If you're watching this video and you're interested in trying one of these Outlier barrels, I tell you what, use my code Mullets. It'll get you the best deal possible. It'll also give me a little bit of a kickback and let Outlier know that you value my content and my opinion. So the barrel is going to be 1 in 8 twist. So the 1 in 8 twist is going to be fast for a 30 cal, but that's in the ballpark where you would see 300 Normas and 300 PRCs that are shooting bullets in the 200 grain plus. So that's one difference in this barrel from maybe your traditional 300 Win Mags. Those might have been 1 in 10 twists versus this is 1 in 8. It's going to handle any of the 30 cal bullets that we can throw at it. This chassis is going to use a CIP length magazine, which is going to be longer than your SAMI spec 300 Win Mag. Now, the rounds I'm shooting here are actually going to be just kind of a classic. You think about what the military is running in the Mark 248 Mod 1, that's going to be the 220 SMK. So the load I'm shooting here, 220 SMK. Sierra's been a long-time supporter of my channel. I really appreciate their support. I couldn't have made this video without Sierra bullets. So I actually seat these at something like 3.50 inches overall length. So just a little bit over SAMI spec. Looked online, that seemed to be normal with what other people are doing. Got them loaded to a velocity, which seems normal out of this barrel. When I started the match, my average velocity was 28.45. Barrel was brand new, had like 40 rounds of load development on it. At the end of the match, it's now running about 28.75. So it's sped up about 30 feet per second after about 150 to 160 rounds. But shout out to Sierra for their support with a 220 SMK. This barrel showed up just in the nick of time. Load development was super easy, and as you're going to see in this video, the 220 SMK is going to perform really well. Now the point of that conversation is, with a longer mag and a faster twist barrel, that's going to give me the ability to run some of the longer, say 230, maybe the new 230 SMK, the 215 Burger, the 230 A-tip, bullets that you're seeing in the other bigger 30 cal magnums. I fully expect to be able to run in this rifle. This video though, 220 SMK, we're just going to establish a baseline of performance against those other bigger magnums. Up front, you're going to see a 5-port brake from a new company that reached out to me called Revolutionary Arms. They're a new startup. They're on Instagram. This brake is actually nuts. This rifle, if you watch the scope footage, doesn't move. So unsuppressed here, going to be mounted in the MDT ACC Elite chassis. This thing is an absolute shooter. So at the 100-yard line, what I'm seeing for groups, again, load development was very, very fast, so I don't have a ton of content around that. I did fire one 5-round group that was right at 1 MOA, 4 rounds, pretty much clustered together with one that dropped low. That was fired earlier in the week before I got out here. But very much a 1 MOA capable rifle. And I tell you what, performance-wise, she's consistent in that, or else I wouldn't have performed like I did in the match. Up top, for an optics package, we're going to be running the Leupold Mark 5 5-25 with a Trimmer 3 reticle. I'm running this in preparation for a match I'm shooting later this summer, just to get familiar with the Trimmer 3 reticle. Mounted in a Badger Condition 1 35mm mount. One of the cool things I'm trying out in this match right here actually is what's called the watch cap from RotaPoint. So RotaPoint, they found me on Instagram, and what they provide is a watch cap or a top cap that goes on the Badger Condition 1 mount or the Night Force mount and allows you to run an offset red dot. Now you might be thinking, offset red dot on a precision rifle that I'm shooting out to a mile seems crazy. Well, I'm not using the red dot to shoot. I'm actually using the red dot on day 2 to help acquire targets. You just lift your head up, point the red dot toward the target, and then you get down on your day optic and it's going to be in your field of view. You're not magging in and out trying to find it. So this thing's actually pretty slick. I really wanted to get some time on it. I appreciate RotaPoint for reaching out to me, giving me the opportunity to run this. And then the red dot I'm running, so this is an acro footprint on the watch cap. This is going to be the Griffin Armament red dot. This thing's pretty slick actually. So I mounted it on the watch cap. It is zeroed to my reticle or to my rifle at 100 yards. And again, point it at your target, drop down into your day optic, and boom, you're on it. It's fast. Final piece, I have to give a shout out to Scopemate. If you've been around my channel, you know previously some of my trigger cams have seen some issues. They haven't lasted that well. So I worked with Scopemate to get this S28 camera, and I'm curious to see how it performs. So far, through day 1, 10 stages, it seemed to record well. It's got a nice field of view. I tell you what, moving forward, you're going to be seeing more footage out of the Scopemate S28 camera. and as we move forward, you'll start to get my feedback on it. But initial impressions on this camera are solid, so thank you to Scopemate for their help to give you the through the scope content. Now with that, let's move into the match footage. Now what I'm going to do in the match footage, I shot 10 stages on day one. I filmed all 10. My plan is probably to condense those and just show you the shooting, maybe the commentary of myself. You're going to see impacts on plates, you're going to see impacts in the dirt, you're going to see maybe commentary around wind and the corrections that I'm seeing out of the rifle, elevation information for each stage to give you an idea of how the rifle's shooting. Then at the end, we're going to wrap up here with my review and my thoughts.
Let's jump into the shooting footage here from day one at the match. This first stage here is called Bet You Wish Those Were Big Squares. And the first target I'm going to shoot here is a 24 by 24 inch square at 1,398 yards. So this will be a cold bore shot here. And you can see my impact there landed quite a bit to the right, so I'm going to make my windage correction and send my second round. And not aggressive enough. So then we're going to transition down to a, I believe this is a 2/3 IPSC here.
IPSC, correct.
1,360 yards. And what you're going to notice here on these targets is no splash. So nothing there, no feedback. At this point, we're shooting into the sun, making it very, very difficult to see splash. And now we transition over to a 12-inch circle at 1,360 yards. Just nothing, no feedback. And now we transition back up to the 24 by 24 square. At this point, I think I've got my wind dialed. And we snag a first round impact for 2 points.
Yep.
Now here we go on the second stage of the day. This one's pretty epic. This is the stretch it out stage. So we're going to start off by engaging a plate here. It's a 24 by 24. And you have to hit it to then move on. So that plate's something like 1,360. Hit it with the first round, beautiful impact. Now I'm looking for a 42 by 42 inch square at 2,310 yards. So I'm going to dial all the way to the top of my elevation of my scope, something like 26 mils. And then I'm going to end up holding like 6 to 7 mils to get on that plate. So and the flight time is crazy. So really no feedback there. I'm going to make a small change, a little more wind. Oh, check this out. A little bit of dust there down at about 7 mils. I caught that in my scope. Correct. And on this round, I don't see it in the camera, I actually caught a splash, made a correction. And boom, we tag a plate, 2,310 yards.
Dude,
with
that's
a 300
awesome.
Win mag.
2310.
Just nuts. That was a blast. Now the next stage, we're actually going to snag some points on this one. We're going to go clean. So this is a run of squares. That close target there is at 1,062. Second target, 1081. Third target, 1096. And then the final target at 1139. So you can see just a beautiful run here, able to clean that and snag quite a few points. Well within the ballpark of a 300 Win mag. Now this stage, this one's a little bit rough. I was hoping for more. So this is going to be squares, 24-inch squares here, and 18-inch squares. This first one's at 1,418 yards. Not a lot of feedback there for me. The next one's at 1,432.
Ah.
Yeah, caught an impact there just off the side of the plate. Now we transition actually to the smaller plates. This one's at 1422. Rough run so far. All right, so now we transition over to the Razorbacks. I did get a first round impact on that last plate. This first Razorback here is at 978 yards. Spot my impact beautifully, make a correction, and boom, second round there, impact. Next one's going to be at 1,018 yards. We're shooting downhill here, right over the back. Okay. Here we go on our third Razorback at 1045. Now you can see we're able to see impacts pretty well, whether it's a hit or miss at this point. The final Razorback is going to be here at 1053.
Yeah.
A couple misses there. Now this stage, oh dear, this one's awesome. So these are going to be deer-sized targets. And the first one here is going to be at 1,114 yards. Boom, we tag it there on the first round. Second one's going to be 1122. Just over the back. You saw when I broke that shot, it was a bit high. And I sent another one over the back. Transition to the third deer. It's going to be at 1152. Boom, with a first round impact. And then the final deer here is at 1108. Also going to tag a first round impact. So great run on this stage. Now this stage, this one's rough. So this is Ipsics Make Me Sick. Now these Ipsics are spread across the hillside there. This first one you can see, it's at something like, I want to say 1,100 yards or right at 1050. Now here I kind of got a click, no bang. There we go. And I wasn't able to connect on that one. The second target here is at 1110. Actually, the first one was at 960. Second is at 1110. This is going to be a 0-degree angle shot. First round lands a little low. Saw that nice and clear on the scope. Mag change here. Burning a lot of time on this stage, unfortunately. Boom, made my correction and impact. So now I have to transition pretty far over to the right where the dirt road runs up the hill there. And the third Ipsic is at something like 1,130 yards. Time's running out. Boom, saw the impact off the right edge. Quickly rack the next round. Pitch correction, impact. So snagged a couple of points on that one. Now this stage, this one's pretty rough. So these are going to be diamonds. And they're 30 by 30. They're pretty large. The first one I believe is at like 1260. And there's just very, very little splash there from the misses. So I remember when I shot this, I was kind of getting frustrated because I wasn't seeing anything. Second target, 1291. And again, just no feedback out there. Checking to make sure I'm on the right target.
Whoa.
So we actually had a target failure.
I don't know.
On this stage.
I didn't see anything.
We're going to now engage the last target twice.
Yeah, that one did have a flasher.
So it'll be 4 rounds potential on this target. You're going to see me miss with the first 2, so that would be engaging my 3rd target, no impact, and then I will connect with the 3rd round, which is the first of the 4th target. So I did snag a couple of points on this stage.
Oh.
Okay, so my impact land high. Make my
So this is my
correction,
first round of the
drop
last
down. So
target,
this is
correct?
now the first round of my 4th target, and we got an impact, so 2 points. Now this stage was pretty epic. This is a KYL rack, 1,355 yards. The first target is actually there where the arrow is. That is a 30-inch circle. Impact, beautiful. The next one is a 24-inch circle. Impact. I'm feeling pretty good at this point. Now an 18-inch circle, 1355. Impact. And then the last one is a 12-inch circle. Ooh, a little bit high. Mag change is awkward, hoping the wind doesn't change. Impact on a 12-inch. And then the final stage of day 1 is going to be rectangles. So this first one is going to be at 1,503 yards.
Ah.
Now I'm going to come down to 1414. So just off the left edge, clearly seeing my impact. Second round impact there with a mag change. Now we transition to target 3, which is at 1390. Now this is something I ran into throughout the match. The mags were letting the round kind of pop up, and then it wouldn't feed, so I had to push them down. Got to dig into that a bit more with those mags. Okay, first round impact. Time's running out here. We're going to transition to the final target at 1350. And boom. Just in the nick of time,
Oh, it was?
we snag an impact.
Well, there you have it. A look at the first 10 stages out here at the Day Mountain Ranch ELR match. Now, you got to let me know in the comments down below, what did you think about the performance of 300 Win Mag across those first 10 stages? Let's talk about it down below. I'd love to hear, did this meet your expectations? Did it fall short? Did you feel like I was handicapped by 300 Win Mag? Let's talk about it. Now, while you're doing that, let me chat about my experience running this out here through 2 days at Day Mountain Ranch. So you're probably all wondering, how did I finish up at the match? Well, drum roll, I wrapped up 4th out of about 40 shooters out here. So congrats to those guys that finished top 3. This was a challenging course of fire. You think about running an ELR magnum rifle across 2 days, maybe 120 to 140 rounds. It's hot, windy. To hold it together and win this match, congrats to those top shooters. But I'm very happy with 4th. I tell you what, selfishly, I wanted to finish in the top 3 because Day Mountain gave away some sweet Western style belt buckles with the Redemption at the Ranch 2025. Would have been awesome to add those to the collection, but I got bested by a couple of guys. So congrats to them. You think about 300 Win Mag. At a high level, I felt very competitive with 300 Win Mag. I don't feel like I was handicapped. That's why I can't wait to hear what you think about the performance. So at a high level, 300 Win Mag, when I came into it, there on the first day, I got squatted up with some guys that I saw running 300 Normas. I knew there were 300 PRCs out here. I knew there was a 33 XC out here. I started thinking to myself, did I bring enough gun? Was this the right idea? But once I started rolling, kind of got in a rhythm, I realized 300 Win Mag very much holds its own. The bulk of the shots in this match, I would say, were from 900 to about 1400. I'm guessing the average distance for the match was about 1150 to 1250. And 300 Win Mag, very much in its prime. We saw a lot of impacts throughout the match. So overall, to me, 300 Win Mag is 100% still relevant. Now, there's a couple of reasons why I feel like that's the case. So first off, let's talk velocity and drop. So 2875 for a 220 grain bullet, yeah, it's probably a little bit slow compared to the bigger magnums. But as far as getting the job done out to say 1,500 yards, really had no problem. I had multiple impacts. Here on day 2, it wasn't on camera, but we shot a circle target array at about 1,350 yards. I actually had a second round impact on the first plate, and then I had 3 first round impacts to follow that up. There were multiple times throughout the match where I was able to make first round impacts with a 300 Win Mag. There was a series of squares down here at about 1050. There was the confirmation plate over here at about 1370 before we shot at 2310. So you think about just pure distance capability, drop, velocity, 220 SMK. The Win Mag held its own. And the good news is it was consistent. That AB Quantum app, the data there lined up really, really well. I used that custom curve in the Quantum app for the 220 SMK. I put in my velocity, I put in my environmentals, and the data lined up. So velocity and drop, yeah, sure. The Normas and the PRCs were flatter. We saw that out at the far targets. For me to get to 2310, I was something like 33 mils of elevation. My buddy who was shooting a 300 Norma improved with a 230 SMK, he was like 20 mils. So yeah, there are flatter shooting calibers, but to me, it's the consistency in the bullet, the consistency in your load that matters. And that's where 300 Win Mag held its own, and we saw that. When it comes to wind, yeah, sure. The bigger magnums, the Normas, the Norma Improved, the PRCs, a little bit less wind. But I tell you what, for me, once I got my wind dialed in, it was consistent. Sure, those bigger magnums were a couple of tenths less, but I tell you what, I had a number of first round impacts. I had a number of second round follow-ups. So that's the name of the game here. You get 2 rounds per target. So if you missed it on the first one, you better be able to correct. And that's where I felt like the Win Mag held its own. If I sent that second round quickly, conditions didn't change, I usually was able to connect. I had multiple second round impacts out here. The name of the game is first round, those are worth 2 points, but a second round still gets you 1 point, and that's better than a 0. I also had a 6.5 Creedmoor in my squad, and the interesting thing was the 6.5 Creedmoor, I was flatter shooting than him on elevation, but windage wise out to 13 or 1400, we were within a couple of tenths. It really was interesting to be able to run my 300 Win Mag out here side by side with a handful of different calibers to gather that data. Now shooting experience wise, 300 Win Mag, I tell you what, this is a heavy rifle. It's about 22 pounds as it sits right now. It's got that 5-port brake on it from Revolutionary Arms. The thing doesn't move. So I have other bigger caliber rifles. I've got the Normas, the Lapuas, I've got them all. This thing is super comfortable to shoot. Sure, it's in the weight of the outlier barrel. Sure, it's in that 5-port brake. But overall, really doesn't matter how I get to a tame package. All that matters to me is that it is a tame package that performs, and that's what we have here. There were multiple times you saw through the scope footage, the rifle didn't move off the target. So when I think about those bigger calibers, the Normas, the PRCs, yeah, maybe they have a little bit more performance, but they're also gonna have more recoil. You're gonna have to drive that rifle better to be able to make those impacts. So for me, shooting experience wise, very comfortable package to shoot here. Now the other thing about the 300 Win Mag, reloading. So as I mentioned, I reloaded the 220 SMK for this match. The brass I ran was Lapua that I shot out of my Mark 13 Mod 5. This is a belted Magnum. Everybody talks about the belted Magnums are a pain to reload. I saw a little bit of that. Actually, I had a little bit of a challenge in my Forster press. I had a stuck case that broke the jaws. Thankfully, I had enough brass ready to go to shoot the match. Yeah, I did see a little bit of a challenge there in reloading those cases. Ultimately, I'll get that fixed. It's not a huge deal. But what I saw between the Mark 13 Mod 5 and the outlier barrel was that shoulder did grow a bit. Is a couple, maybe 10 thousandths. That front shoulder grew between the rifles. So what that means for me is, because a belted Magnum headspace is off of the belt and not off of that front shoulder, I'm probably going to end up using the brass out of this rifle specifically for this rifle and not trying to shoot it between both rifles. A belted Magnum is different from, say, the PRC in that it's not headspacing off of that front shoulder. So there's a little bit of a difference in the tolerance there. It's not really a performance issue as much as it is maybe a reloading issue or a reloading item to be aware of. I did experience that. So if you go 300 Win Mag, just know it's gonna be a little bit different on the reloading side. That front shoulder dimension could be different, maybe rifle to rifle, as it's not truly head spacing there. It's using the belt there at the back. But as far as reloading dies, that all seemed to work. I just didn't have enough case lube on the case. And that's why ultimately I feel like it got stuck. Now, the interesting thing about this, and you gotta let me know in the comments what you wanna see me do. This is a fast twist at 8 inches. This is a long magazine, so I can see the long bullets. What I need to do is go and figure out where the throat is on this outlier barrel. It's very possible I can run some long bullets, long cartridge length, a lot of powder, and we can really push this 300 Win Mag to some pretty crazy performance numbers. So if you want to see me do that, let me know in the comments down below. I kind of got some ideas. I just want to make sure it's something you want to see in content. But I think the way this outlier is set up with this magazine length, we can really optimize 300 Win Mag. So again, let me know what you think. It might be kind of fun just to push this Win Mag and see what it's truly capable of. So again, at a high level, I'm going to wrap up by saying, for me, my opinion changed after this match. I feel like I was very competitive out here. I feel like 300 Win Mag is very capable. The fact that we connected on a circle target at 2,310 yards with a 220 SMK really tells the story. There are a number of folks out here that weren't able to make that connection. So this rifle, very capable. Ultimately, just like anything, it comes down, I think, to the shooter's ability to read wind, the shooter's ability to input the data. Sure, all the electronics are fun, the calculators, that's all fun, but you gotta be able to know how to use it. So it comes down to shooter ability and being able to employ that package more so than the latest whiz-bang caliber. That's kind of how I'm going to wrap up this video. Let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this, do me a solid, help me grow this channel, like, comment, share, subscribe.